Good morning, humanity! Or perhaps it's afternoon, evening, or even the middle of the night, wherever you are. We are broadcasting from the epicenter of human unity, right here in Auroville in South India. My name is Fifth. I am your hostess with the mostest, and also the co-founder of MeDiClown Academy. We are creating a happy, healthy India for all. And we're sharing love, laughter, joy, and play. After all, India knows love. Now, in 2020, the Olympic Games were to be held in Tokyo this week from July 24th, which is my dad's birthday, to August the 9th, which is my wedding anniversary. And in the middle of that, on July 29th, is Hamish's birthday. Hamish is my husband. So it's a very, very meaningful and auspicious time for me. Now, let's go back in time, because in 1968, it was an amazing year of dreams, victories, tragedies, and personal triumph that shaped the world and shaped my world and rocked the world and rocked my world. It was the year of the Olympics in Mexico City. But before that, in an Olympic style, youth from 124 countries carrying their flags placed a handful of soil from their homeland into an urn in the middle of Auroville. It was the dream of Mira Alfaza, also known as the Mother, and Auroville was inaugurated. This was part of her dream, and I'll just read a little bit, okay? There should be somewhere on earth a place which no nation could claim as its own, where all human beings of goodwill who have a sincere aspiration could live freely as citizens of the world and obey one single authority, that of supreme truth, a place of peace, concord, and harmony, where all the fighting instincts of man would be exclusively to conquer the causes of his suffering, miseries, to surmount his weaknesses and ignorance, to triumph over his limitations and incapacities, a place where the needs of the spirit and the concern of progress would take precedence over the satisfaction of desire and passion, the search for pleasure and material enjoyment. So in short, it would be a place where human relationships, which are normally based exclusively on competition and strife, would be replaced by the relationship of emulation in doing well, in collaboration and real brotherhood. That extra real was me. That wasn't what Mother had. Anyway, 6 weeks later, on April the 4th, which was my mom's birthday, American civil rights leader and activist Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. He was 39 years old, and I remember that day clearly. I felt like that bullet that had killed my hero had torn apart my heart, and my dream to join a peaceful demonstration and to march with Dr. King had also died. I was only 3 years old when he delivered his famous speech, the I Have a Dream. And by the time I was 7, and he was 34 when he delivered the speech, but by the time I was 7, his words resounded strongly then, and I felt it right to my core, as I still do. Here's a small excerpt from his speech. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And I have a dream. One day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as brothers and sisters. That day that he was assassinated, this little 7-year-old vowed, I would create a place of peace, love, joy, happiness around the world, where no matter what color their skin, everyone would be included and we would be one. This dream is still my dream, and it's still very, very much alive. Three months later, I was with my dad, and we were watching on our black and white television in Canada. We got to remember, TV had just been out for a couple of years then. It was the Olympic Games in Mexico City. And Tommy Smith and John Carlos, two black Americans, crossed that 200-meter finish line. Gold! Bronze! Yay! Oh my gosh, I felt this feeling of joy and this surge of an incredible happiness, power, and inspiration. They received their medals, and the Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem of the United States of America, was being played. And they bowed their heads, and Tommy raised his black right fist. It was gloved with a black glove, symbolizing the black power in America. And John raised his black left gloved fist, symbolizing black unity. Their fists on either side of the podium created an arch of unity and power. It was a powerful, silent, deliberate, defiant demonstration against racial discrimination in the U.S. And in solidarity, Peter Norman, who was an Australian who captured that silver medal, he joined them in wearing the Olympic Project for Human Rights, the OPHR badge. Subsequently, right after that, Tommy and John were kicked off the U.S. Olympic team. And then, in 1972, even though Peter Norman had qualified to be on the Australian team, he was not asked to compete for Australia. In 2006, when Peter Norman left his body, when he passed away, Tommy Smith and John Carlos were pallbearers at his funeral. That's brotherhood. Last year, more than 50 years later, Tommy and John were inducted into the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame. John Carlos says, I knew I did the right thing. I feel as proud today as I did that day. I am just so happy that so many people have woken up to it today. Back to the 1968 Mexico Olympics. As we watched the marathon, Dad and I cheered for John Stephen Akhwari, a Tanzanian, a fellow countryman. Although obviously Dad is Indian, and so that means I'm Indian too, but both Dad and I were born in Tanzania. We were so proud of John Stephen. He was one of the top 75 athletes from around the world that had made it to this grueling marathon. And I say it's grueling because Mexico City is 75,000 feet. No, 7,500. I get my numbers mixed up. 7,500 feet above sea level. And John had trained 3,300 feet above sea level. Now, because of this 17 of them were not able to finish the race. They had cramps or they just couldn't breathe. They had problems. At the 19-kilometer point of the 42-kilometer race, John had severe cramping from the high altitude. And just then there were a number of runners that were jostling for that position, and they bumped into him. And he fell. And I cried. I could feel his emotional and physical pain, the devastation and the disappointment for having trained so hard for so long. He received medical attention, and they all thought that he would choose to go to the hospital. But despite a dislocated knee and an injured shoulder from when he fell and his shoulder hit the pavement, he picked himself up and he says, "A voice calls from within to go on." And so he goes on. And an hour after the last runner had crossed the finish line and the sun had set and many of the spectators had left, John Stephen Aquari, with a bandage wrapped around his knee, entered the arena. And he crossed that finish line. And the sportscaster said, "Today, we have seen a young African runner who symbolizes the finest in the human spirit, a performer that gives true dignity to the sport, and a performance that gives meaning to the word courage." And to this day, 50 years later, 52 years later, I weep. And I'm still inspired by the courage, tenacity, and determination it took for him to finish. And when he was asked why, in spite of all odds, his dislocated knee, his injured shoulder, why did you continue? He said, "My country did not send me 5,000 miles to start a race. They sent me 5,000 miles to finish the race." They sent me 5,000 miles to finish the race. This is my fellow countryman, my fellow world citizen, my brother. We each have a calling. We each have our purpose. We each have a dream. My calling is to be a medical clown. My purpose is to create a movement of happiness, laughter, love, and joy. And my dream is that the India Knows Love movement travels across India and around the world. And my dream is when the most privileged person can look deeply into the eyes of the beggar on the street or someone who is less privileged, and they can see themselves in each other, and they can understand that pain, that love, that joy. Then we will have true harmony and peace. And then we can heal individually and collectively as a society and the world. So what is your calling? What is your purpose? What is your dream? Write it down. Get inspired. Put it into action. Live it to the fullest. You were not sent here to start the race. You were sent here to finish the race. And I think it's only fair that let's set a little minute of intentional laughter. Because when we laugh, we get that endorphins in our brain, in our lungs. We can finish that race because we're strong. And here in the studio with me right now, I have two very, very special people, and they're going to laugh with me. Stefano is one, and the other is just the guy behind the scenes. And so here we go. 1, 2, 3. You gonna laugh with me, Stefano? And follow your dream. You were sent to finish the race. Finish it well. Thank you. Please, right below this, share your mantra, share your intention, and contact us through the website, through our YouTube channel, anywhere. Just contact us. Leave a comment below. And thank you for all the encouraging words that we've received. Thank you so much.